Today we're talking The Walking Dead pilot, the spinoffs, and Daryl Dixon finale. Welcome to Screens in Focus, the podcast where we talk about TV and movies. I'm Diana. Renee is here. Hi, Renee. How's it going?
Hello. Going very well here. How about you?
I'm doing very well. I'm so glad that we're back to talk about all of this. And I was so thrilled when you said it's the 15th anniversary. And I thought, heck, any reason to talk about The Walking Dead, we are going to take it. So we are going to talk about all these things. We also have TV and movie recommendations. So stay tuned for that or jump forward to the chapters listed. So we are going to start off with The Walking Dead pilot because that is where it all started. And I rewatched it again for the umpteenth time. I don't even know. But it's so gripping and it's so easy to watch. And my husband watched it with me. And when it was over, he didn't want to get up. Like he wanted to continue watching it. Like he saw, I'm hooked already. I want to watch it again. Because we've marathoned through it several times, but then we stop at a certain point. But then when we get to the beginning, here it comes again. So in saying that, Renee, I would love to know, do you remember your first impressions when you first watched The Walking Dead?
I do actually. My husband and son tried to encourage me to watch this series. They're like, you're going to love this series. They've been watching it. I didn't start watching it until after the mid-season 3 finale had aired. I was sick and I was trying to find something to watch. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll give this a try. So I was lucky and I had 2.5 seasons to watch, and it was like play. But I do remember watching the pilot and just thinking, okay, this is like nothing else in this genre. It is, I was hooked immediately. I couldn't believe why I hadn't been watching this, how many, for whatever long that had been. So why was I not watching this? And I just remembered that, I remember thinking, the story was so gripping, and like your husband, I just wanted to keep watching. I just did not, that just set the tone, and so I just remember thinking how different this series was going to be.
It was truly different, and I will say that again, my husband was the one that was like, "Oh, we have to watch this." I said, "Yeah, I want to watch it." But mind you, at this point, I was not a zombie person. So I thought, okay, I'm going to watch this. And I did watch it. I did enjoy it. I liked it. But I wasn't a zombie person at the time. And so I'm like, okay. And so he kept watching it. I thought I was stepping away, but every time he had it on, I couldn't not watch it. Like I was gripped, and it was the stories and it was the characters. That is what drew me in. I grew to appreciate the zombies, the walkers. And now, The Walking Dead opened me up to so much. I am so open to horror and zombies and monsters and all kinds of things. And it all starts with The Walking Dead because that's what made me realize that horror and monsters and zombies don't have to be about just the terror or the horror of it. There's other aspects, and that is what draws me in emotional watching. So that was my first impression. But rewatching it, I thought to myself, this first episode is so complex. There is so much, and it's because we know what comes after and all the things, and we relate it to that very first episode and things that happened in there. So what stands out to you? What are the iconic moments in this first episode?
Well, Rick and the opening scene, you see Rick there, and, I never read the comics until I was probably halfway through the series. Then I'm like, I should probably read these. So I didn't know anything about Rick and who he was or anything like that. So it was, that opening scene, watching him walk down there looking for the gas. He meets the teddy bear, that teddy bear walker. That is just iconic. The whole, all of that scene and everything. He's, still trying to figure things out. but that, yeah. So that teddy bear walker is just, to me, is just a very iconic thing. It's just that opening scene and all of that. But also we see, Rick's family at the Atlanta camp at the end, and it's like, oh, because we saw the picture. And so, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that I always remember thinking that was like, oh my gosh, his family, he's going to find his family, and.
Do you remember if you knew when they showed Lori and Carl with Shane, if you knew already or kind of figured out that it was going to be Rick's wife and son, or were you totally like shocked until he showed that picture in his visor?
I guess I'm trying to think of the sequence. I feel like we saw the picture first, then them.
No.
The other way. Okay.
Yeah, the other way around. We saw them talking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think because of Shane, then maybe I assumed it. And then maybe that's what it was. Maybe I was like, oh, wait a minute. Then when he shows the picture, then I knew that must have been. I just remember like having like, and then it being,
confirmed.
Yeah, so it must have been that. Yeah. So it must have been because maybe of Shane and I was thinking that or something.
Because, here's a wife and here's the son. I don't know, but I don't really recall what I thought. I mean, now, of course, that was so huge that it's like that's on this dislike for Lori, and not saying it lightly, right?
Yeah.
But that just kind of overshadowed like what you thought immediately. But I was just curious if you had remembered or not, because I don't remember what I thought at the time. No, it was a huge shocker. Another iconic moment is when he's waking up and walking through the hospital and you just see him in his gown walking, kind of holding his side, and then seeing where it says, "Don't open, dead inside."
Yeah.
So and then also with the matches my mind just goes there because it starts to play like a movie inside, right? Then we see the matches and him coming out and seeing all the bodies and all the military and just the buildings and everything that has transpired as he was in his coma.
Yeah.
Which also everybody was like, how long has it been? Because Lori's already like having this thing with this guy. And then later on, it's revealed that it's only been a couple weeks, right? Not quite a month, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to bring up two more. One is when he meets Morgan, all of that, but also when they're in the sheriff's office taking a shower and they're so happy. There's that moment with Dwayne and Morgan that I just think is so cool. I just like seeing them happy because we all know what comes next. And maybe that's why that scene is so much more important watching it then, because that is such a short-lived moment between all of them. But also Rick coming into Atlanta on that horse and showing us the poster moment. When it was happening, as I rewatched it, I thought, oh my gosh, look at this moment. It's such a cool moment. It just says so much. And then also the horse and the tank and the radio call. So all of that is like, hey, dumbass.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. I love it all. So how do you think this pilot episode set the tone for the series?
Well, I feel like it was very ballsy of them to open it up with the killing of a child walker. I mean, to me, that was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I do remember thinking, okay, this is going to not be like anything we've seen before. That it's going to be something unique. It's going to be something that's going to push boundaries and not be afraid to do these things and not, and, eventually I feel like they did pull back from that originally, for many reasons. There's lots of stuff we can go into, but that's a whole nother show. But, but that first, opening it up that way and having the first on-screen death be a child, even though it was a walker, I just felt like that was just something that really caught viewers' attention and made them like, okay, this is going to be something incredible. And it proved that, for many seasons, it proved that it was definitely not the typical apocalyptic story at all, So that I just felt like that opening scene set the tone for going forward.
Yeah. I think also with moments like that, we also saw, like I had mentioned, the shower scene, it was such a contrast. So
Yeah.
I think you see both, right? You see the horror and then you see lighter moments or human moments. And I think for me, I know that is what I was talking about, what drew me in, because I thought, wow, this isn't just horror. This is relating to people and how people would react. When Morgan and Dwayne can't face that the mother is a walker and she keeps coming back. I mean, how is that not relatable to everybody? Because you think, oh, this mom knows this is her house. She keeps coming, trying to open it. And they're like, we can't do it. We can't. Morgan's all, I can't do it. I still see her in this walker. I can't separate that. And that comes to haunt him later.
Yeah.
And his story and everything else that transpires. And also Rick with the bicycle walker.
Oh, yeah.
Because it shows his horror, but what he does for mercy in a way, even though people have to shoot walkers and they have to shoot them in the head. And, it just shows what type of person Rick is. And I think that definitely sets the tone too. And the connection between him and Morgan toward the end, when Morgan and him are parting ways and they're like, okay, we're going to stay connected. So, we're going to check at this hour, so we have this between us. And I don't know about you, but I remember for seasons, I'm like, when are him and Morgan going to connect? And I kept thinking there's got to be a time where that's going to happen. I really wanted it because that pilot episode, it showed us so many little pieces that we clung on to that we wanted to see later. So,
yeah. And I agree. Those survivor stories, that is, because it, like you said, it's something you could I could picture myself in an apocalypse in that situation.
Yeah.
And so it makes it very relative. So it's, all this, the horror aspects that you maybe can't imagine yourself, but this human part, these things that are happening, they could happen to anyone. And so and that is those that everyone will, you talk to a lot of people who are long diehard fans and they're like, it's those survivor stories. I want to know what happened to those characters and what's coming next for them. And does Morgan ever show back up and, those things. And so that's, that's the other element that sets the series apart, because it's not just horror all over the place, and which, those have their place and I enjoy that too. But this just was, again, very different. So,
yeah. Well, and it's world building because we see these connections and we all want to see it. I mean, like you said, all of the fans, all of the universe want to see what happened. If we didn't see them die, we want to see them again. It's like, we're not letting go. We want to know what happened to this person because we didn't see what happened to them. And so we cling to that. And it's something that, because we care about these characters and their relationships and everything else. And maybe it's just like we as human beings, we think about people that we met in high school or at work or past whatever relationships that you have. And you always wonder about people like, oh, this person was such an influence on me. I wonder what they're up to now or how it is. So I think, it's how it relates to you and how you relate to it and see it and react to it. So also, we didn't even talk about Shane so much, but in the beginning, I felt like before the apocalypse, when it was just those two, it was so, I don't know how I want to say this, but you could tell the type of person Shane was between the type of person Rick was by just that conversation. Yeah. How Shane was in his, in his relationships and how Rick was in his relationships. I mean, Rick was more concerned about Lori saying what she said in front of their son because that is what was important to Rick. It was like, how could she say that? I would
Mhm.
never say that in front of our son. And Shane just had his own way of his people not turning off the light switch. That's what, you know,
Yeah.
that's just how it was. But he did care about Rick initially. He really did care about him. But and it's so funny when Rick comes out of his room, out of his hospital room. I mean, we all see the gurney there, but at that
Mhm.
point, we don't really know what that really means,
Yeah.
right? But Shane had put it there to try and attempt or have no one get in or nothing get in there. So, oh my God, the pilot's so good. All right. There's so much. I love it. Is there anything else you want to say about the pilot before we move on?
Nope, I don't think so.
Because we are going to talk about the spin-offs that are part of this whole pilot and all these seasons and everything else. And so this is inspired by our question of the day in the Daryl Dixon season 3 finale. We had a caller call in and ask, what is your favorite spinoff and your favorite character? And so that had a life of its own. And we got some really good answers off of that. So those answers, it was kind of, we got various answers. We have the ones who live, Michonne, they put Rick and Michonne, both of them. Dead City, our caller actually really likes the Croat. So that was
Mhm.
her favorite character. We had someone say Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Someone had mentioned Tales of the Walking Dead, Terry Crews as being her favorite character. We had Fear the Walking Dead, someone named Nick, someone named Alicia. And we also had quite a few majority named Daryl Dixon as their favorite spinoff. And a lot of them were Darrell, and a lot of them were Darrell and Carol mix. And I even had one person that it was not a spinoff, but they said Rosita. So they had to chime in and say Rosita was their favorite character. So that was, I think, oh, you know what? I just realized no one mentioned World Beyond. Huh.
Mm.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, in saying all that, I want to know, what do you think of the spinoffs, or what characters stand out to you after me just going over all those favorites?
So, as far as the spin-offs go, I feel like Daryl Dixon, the series is a standout just because location alone it sets itself apart, but it just does feel very different, but still in the same world, you know? And so, but I'm also very partial because Daryl's my favorite, always has been since the minute he walked on the screen. I was like, I like that guy, you know?
Yeah.
And just to see, you know, everything he's done and how much he's changed and all these things. But yeah, I like Daryl Dixon series the best because of just the difference that it some of the others just feel a lot of the same stuff, which, you know, we all love The Walking Dead, but I don't want to rewatch The Walking Dead. I mean, I'll rewatch the actual Walking Dead, but I mean,
Yes.
like, in a new spin-off and a new anything that they're making, I want something new because that's what
Right.
drew me to the original, you know, and I don't need to just rehash what happened and everyone wants this giant reunion. I don't want that. And I know people are like, are you crazy? You know, it's just, I don't want it. Yeah. So anyway, as far as just the spin-offs, you know, themselves, I feel like Daryl Dixon is my absolute favorite. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the next season.
I know. Let's go through them all. Let's go through Fear the Walking Dead. I want to talk about Fear the Walking Dead for a moment because I do want to say I really, really enjoy Fear the Walking Dead. I mean, it gave us 8 seasons. All of the last 2 are not my favorite, but up through 6, I was in it. And of course, the first 3 to 4 were the best. And I think because Morgan was 4 through 8, but I'm talking about the better ones, 4 through 6. I thought those were really good. I love John Dory. I actually mentioned John Dory as being one of my favorite spinoff characters because of his moral compass. And Garrett Dillahunt is just a great actor. So I am a fan of him in that. But even initially with the people that had mentioned Nick and Alicia, I mean, they're great characters. Unfortunately, Nick left sooner than we had wanted him to, but there were so many characters in there initially, even Daniel and just a lot of people there. What do you think about that series in general? And do you have a favorite character in that spinoff?
Yeah, so I love the first 3 seasons, and then I felt like it kinda went kinda wonky, and I think it was season 6 I enjoyed because that's, like, the John Dory and all that, because I did enjoy John Dory a lot, and 7 was I just don't know what was I don't know what happened in season 7, I don't know, and nothing against the actors because, I mean, that's the cool thing
Right.
about Fear the Walking Dead, the talent of the actors in that series is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But there was just some disconnect somewhere, but anyway, so yeah, so I the first 3 seasons were great. 6 I liked a good, and then, I was pretty indifferent with the final season. I mean, it wasn't the worst season, that's for sure, but I don't know, I think I was just after season 7, I kinda was just I don't know. So, and I think it
It
ended on a
was a
good note.
storyline. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, but yeah, favorite characters, I liked Nick a lot, I really did. I thought
Yeah.
he had his issues in the beginning, but then he, kinda came through and did his thing and, so I did like Nick. I didn't care for Madison, I know everybody that was a big thing, but I just didn't feel like she gave there were many more other interesting characters. I
Yeah.
liked June a lot. I think June added a lot to the
Yeah.
story and things. So, yeah, so, and I've watched the whole series. It's not like I gave up on it or anything. It was just,
Right.
there was just, I mean, and The Walking Dead had some low areas too, where I was like, okay, what's going on here kind of thing. But, when you have these long running series, you're bound to have a couple seasons. You're just like, I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Fear, yeah, probably I'd say Nick and June were probably my 2 favorites.
Yeah. Well, and Dwight, of course, crossed over
Mhm.
to, and I actually really liked Dwight in Fear the Walking Dead. Like, I
Much better,
really
yeah.
liked him so
Mhm.
much more. I couldn't stand him in The Walking Dead because he was
Yeah,
not good to our Daryl. And I'm like,
that's
don't you
right.
be doing, yeah, don't you be doing our stuff, this stuff to our Daryl. But once he went over
Mhm.
to Fear the Walking Dead, I appreciated his character so much more in seeing his character arc and his, him grow over the seasons. Also, Coleman Domingo,
Yeah, yeah, of course,
Fear the
yeah.
Walking Dead gave us Coleman Domingo, and he wasn't
Yes.
always the most likable character, but
Mm.
was he interesting? Of course. Was he so
Yeah,
good at his performance? Absolutely. But,
yeah.
part of it also is the character that we see.
Mhm.
So I really did enjoy Fear the Walking Dead. So what about any of the series that, because we've mentioned quite a few here, and we haven't really talked about the ones who live yet, even though you and I went into that series. But how do you think that any of the spinoffs worked across the universe, like for you?
Yeah, like, I feel like I enjoyed. I wasn't sure what was gonna happen when they had said it's gonna be a The Ones Who Live was gonna be a limited series, and you're like, "How are they doing this in 1 season, and why?" All this kinda stuff.
Yeah.
But I think they did very well with the time they had. We got a lot of it. Some of the information was pretty quick, we got, kind of
Yeah.
rushed a little, but I understood it was time. You literally had this much time to get the story out. But I think overall it was good. I mean, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was really, really glad that they didn't make us wait till like mid season to get the reunion. I was
Oh,
glad they didn't
yeah.
waste time doing that because that's what, you know, I never realized. So, like, when they left, when Rick left, when Michonne left, I'm like, "Oh, that's sad," but I have other favorite characters that I was like, "Fine," I'm like, "I gotta see what they're gonna be up to," and that kinda thing. But on the series finale of The Walking Dead, when they had the coda scene with Rick and Michonne, I was like, "Oh, wait, I do need them back." I mean, that was when it's like a out of sight, out of mind kinda thing, but when I saw them in those scenes, I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready for them to be back." And so I was real excited for the series, and like I said, I think they did a good job with the time that they had, and I wish it would have went longer because then we could have gotten more details and things. But yeah, I thought that was a great series. I think they did a good job overall. I think World Beyond is an underrated series. I know it's slow. I know it's not The Walking Dead. It's not The Walking Dead, but you learn so much vital information in that tied in, just kind of tied over and tied the ones who live. So that's the other part that I think that a lot of people missed out on by not watching that one, and I know the first season is slow. It's very slow. So if you have to, just go to the second season, and watch it, because that's when all
Yeah.
that, the information comes out. So I think that's a really underrated series, as is Tales of the Walking Dead. That's one of my favorites. And I always say that if it didn't say Tales of the Walking Dead, if it said Tales of the Zombie Apocalypse, everybody would have loved it. But it's because they compared it too much to the main series.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say World Beyond, I did appreciate that. The first season, like you said, it was just kind of, but you had to get to know them in order to get to the next one. But I would say definitely the second season was much better. And knowing that it was only going to be 2 seasons long and it was going to relate to a future spinoff, which is The Ones Who Live. So that's how it all tied up. But I will say we still didn't get to see what happened to them. Like what was, sure, there were things that connected, but I would have kind of liked to have seen something with them, even if it wasn't, and maybe it was, and I don't remember, but even if it wasn't them physical, their physicalness, something about that, what they did, just referenced. Because sometimes for me, all I need is that reference. If you reference somebody, then at least I feel like satisfied as to what you've given me. So, but I did appreciate it. It was something that I watched. Tales of the Walking Dead, I personally wasn't as gripped with that one. I watched them, but if I hadn't seen them or didn't know about them, I think I'd be okay. I don't know. You're right, though. If they were independent stories and you just watched them, then that would be fine, which they kind of were in a way, right? They're just set in this whole universe. And The Ones Who Live, that was so anticipated. People were wanting it so bad. I want to know what your 3 top ranking spinoffs are. What are the most important to you?
Daryl Dixon, The Ones Who Live, and Tales of the Walking Dead.
Ah, okay. Okay. Mine are Daryl Dixon, The Ones Who Live, and Fear the Walking Dead. So those are the most important ones to me. In saying that, I do want to say that The Ones Who Live, to me, was the most anticipated. I wanted to see Rick, and I wanted to see Michonne, and I wanted them to see their kids. Like, emotionally, that is what I wanted, and I needed it. I needed it so bad, just like everyone else needed it. We needed to see where Rick was all this time, what his life was like, how he couldn't make it home, why that was, how he felt. And we were able to see that. And I know you and I talked about it, and you struggled with how Rick's reaction was to a lot of what was happening. It's like you just wanted to shake him. But also you have to remember there's this mental toll that things take, especially when someone takes you, from, without your will, and keeps you somewhere, and you're trying to do everything you can to get out, you even chop off your hand, and it's still not enough. It's still not enough. And you have to still survive. And so I think in Rick's brain, he just clicked like, okay, how am I going to survive? How do I survive this? The one thing that we didn't talk about was Dead City.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that one. I care about Maggie and Negan, and when I'm watching it, it's really good. Like, it's a really good series when I'm watching it, but for some reason, it doesn't come to my brain when we talk about it. I don't know. What do you think about the series in general?
Yeah, I mean, I've liked it. I have, but I'm kind of the same way. I almost forget about it sometimes, and I don't know why that is, because it's not a bad. It's
Yeah.
and it's. I mean, I've
Yeah.
always been indifferent to Maggie. I'm like, I don't love her, don't hate her. I just don't really, whatever.
Yeah.
But Negan, I love Negan, and I've loved. I mean, why? How could you not? I mean, even though he's started out as a villain and everything, he's hilarious. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan just has so much charisma, and so he just makes you love him. I don't care what role he's playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but for Dead City, I don't know what it is about it that makes me just like, oh yeah, that's right, there is a thing, and I can't tell you why, because like you said, when I'm watching it, I'm engaged, and I'm like, and I'm ready to discuss it when we do our episodes talking about it. But yeah, for some reason, it just isn't forefront in my mind for whatever reason. But yeah, but overall, I do like it.
Yeah, me too. But I do think I get the most excited about watching Daryl Dixon. Like I get really excited
Oh
about
yeah.
watching. And I think it is because like you and I had talked about it. One, we love Darryl, we love Carol, but we also love where they go and how different it is and different stories, different people. And even though a lot of times it's fighting against this group or these people, of course, that's what you do. What else are you going to do in this to survive? But you come across different things that happen to people like leprosy or
Mhm.
just so much, which we'll get into in just a moment when we talk about the Daryl Dixon finale. But I think that also just introducing different cultures and different ways of being and learning about different people. And that's what's so great about the Daryl Dixon spinoff, that we get to do those things. So yeah. And personally, me, I know you don't want a reunion, and it's not that I need a reunion with everybody, but do I want to see Darrell and Rick? And for me, I kind of want to see Morgan too. To see like a scene, I don't need to see it all. I just want to see these original people. And the reason why Morgan is so important is because Morgan's gone through this transition of who he has been, like, or, how he was. And then he went into this killing mode. And then he went into this I'm not killing anybody mode. And then he has to shift and change to survive mentally and physically. And and that's what Rick has done too, right? Rick has gone through these different changes. And we see Darrell going through changes, not quite as extensive because Darrell keeps things to himself, but we've seen Carol do it too, right? Carol has really shifted too. So it takes a lot and a toll for these people to survive. And I think that's this commonality that they all have. And that's why we all watch, because we see them, work their way through surviving. But I think because we saw Morgan and Rick in the beginning, I would really, and that's where Morgan left, where Fear the Walking Dead left Morgan, was when he was traveling to go back home. And something about seeing them or knowing that somehow they all end up together in the end would just fill me. It really would. Again, doesn't have to be a whole episode or anything. Just knowing that it happened would make me happy. And having Rick and Darrell somehow see each other, be back together. So those to me, those three, I want those three. So, okay. Anything else you want to say before we move into the...
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say that I really enjoyed the way the ones who live. I wrote an article that said it was like the other spinoffs need to follow the ones who lives. How they handled the cameo with Father Gabriel,
Oh,
because I just thought that was outstanding, because
yes.
there was all these rumors somebody's showing up. So of course everyone thinks it's Rick, or not Rick, but like they thought, it would be, I don't know who, I guess I can't remember who they kept saying someone, but anyway, I don't remember who it was. But anyway,
I know. I'm trying to remember now too. Who was that?
Well, I know Heath was mentioned because then it was confirmed that he was
God,
traded.
I wanted to know.
Yeah, everybody wanted to see Heath,
So
but I thought there
bad.
was somebody else that they were saying. I don't
Yeah,
remember
there was somebody else. There was.
but everybody's anticipating this, and then it turns out to be Father Gabriel. But I loved how they did it, because it showed us, we got to see what he was up to. We got to see what Jadis was up to. We got to see them together, just talking this and that. I just thought that was really, really, it was just done so well. That is the way that they should do that on these other series, is fit these people in somehow like that, and I thought that was a really good way. And I know it wasn't who everyone wanted to see, but I think a lot of people are like, oh, wow, that was very interesting, because we never would have known, we wouldn't have guessed, and that kind of thing. So I thought that was a really good way to, to honor the main series by bringing, this character in and things. And so I thought that was really good. And then I have one question for you. So with Tales of the Walking Dead, what did you think about the Alpha episode? It was D, but...
I was going to say probably out of all of them, that was one of the most memorable ones to me, because Alpha was somebody that we knew. And so I appreciated seeing her. So I did like that one, because we got to see how she was with Lydia. So
And
wonder
I
how
thought it
that'll
was, and
begin.
we learned a whole bunch of information we thought this was her story, and then there was more to it that which I loved how they added that on, that, she wasn't the original alpha, she wasn't the original leader. And I just thought that was, just a fun, like, you think you've watched all the layers of this woman and you know her and everything, and then all of a sudden they throw that out of nowhere. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this isn't how we thought it was, so I just thought it was a good episode. So I just, since it was someone, a familiar character, I wondered how you
Yeah.
liked that episode.
Yeah, I did like it. I did enjoy that one, yes. But there's some that I can't remember very well,
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened with that one? So, and it's not that it wasn't, I think that the episodes were well produced. It isn't that. It's just for some reason it didn't remain memorable to me. But if somebody said, hey, here's some Tales of the Walking Dead, some more episodes, am I going to watch them? Probably. Any more information to feed me? Yes, I'll take it. All right. So, Daryl Dixon season 3 finale. You were not able to join me on this one. Sam joined me. It was amazing to have her back. And we had a great conversation, but I would love to know, because you started the season off with me, and I really want to know what you thought about the finale. So share with me. What'd you think?
Well, overall, I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, I thought they did a really good job, making us anticipate the 4th and final season. Now we're all like ready to go. What's happening next, because all the plans are, of course, messed up. They can't do what they wanted to do with the boat and escaping and all that, getting home. So now what? So I thought overall it was really good. I think I really liked, I thought that the 3rd season had a really amazing story with, combining like the Western and the Spanish feel and all that. They did, a good job, showing us like cultural things and, throwing the spaghetti Western style stuff in there and all that. So I really enjoyed it. And I think season 2 fell a little bit flat for me, just because I felt like it was kind of rushed, but then it was also like everybody died, and I'm like, okay, you just got me really, into knowing these people and all this, and now you're killing everybody off and sending them away and all that. So I think that but season 3 has, kind of changed that now. So now, I really enjoyed it. And we got to know a lot more about these new characters, and, which they could die at the end, I guess, too, but they haven't yet so far. So that was good.
And Cadrone, we saw Cadrone.
Yeah, that was my next thing. Yes, that was wonderful. Because I was hoping we would see him again. I had a feeling that we would see him again, and so hopefully they just don't tease that and we see nothing of him. I mean, he saw the boat blow up, and I thought that scene was kind of funny, because I was thinking in his brain, he's like, Daryl's over there. Like, he saw that blow up and he's like, that's where I need to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And one of my favorite parts, all the action was incredible. I mean, everybody was just kicking butt and doing all their stuff. But the one thing that just I loved was that theatrical performance of those walkers all dressed up.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, this series just constantly does something completely, like with the band. The guy had the walkers in Paris as the band. He had them all hooked up to the orchestra and all the. So this series just cracks me up. They're very forward thinking with their walkers.
I actually laughed at that moment. I thought it was so funny, because they are being pulled back and forward, and they're like trying to eat at everybody and each other, flipping all over the place. It was hilarious. I'm like, Greg Nicotero is loving this scene. He's like, this is it. This is good. I love it. But it also showed what these, I guess, aristocrats, what gets them excited, which is crazy, right? You thinking it's funny, these walkers that are going to eat you, which they ended up doing. But I thought it was funny that Darrell just throws fire, just like chaos. It's like, it starts the fire and everything's on fire. I'm like, holy heck, Darrell, this is kind of crazy. Yeah, there were so many moments of the battles that we saw, but I know for me, one of the things that really touched me, that we had touched upon the episode prior, because I'd seen the trailer, was that moment with Darrell and Carol, and how we finally got clarification of what the dreams meant and what he was taking from them, and how he was talking about home, and wondering if, like, he's always running. He like his whole life he's always running. And then what if he gets home and he's still not satisfied? What did you think of that moment with them?
It was, yeah, because we kept, kind of wondering what was going to happen, and we speculated, this and that. But, it started out with these little, very quick clips that we couldn't barely tell what was going on. They got a little bit longer, and we're starting to, with the history that we already knew about Darrell and his upbringing and this, we were able to piece some of that together. But yeah, it was good to see where that was going and not just left it hanging. It's like, okay, that was it.
Yeah.
We don't get any clarification. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, he says that and everything, but he also, he did stay at Alexandria for a long time. He did stay with Rick's group for a very long time. So he's got that longevity to him. I think he just needs to be with the right people. Darrell's not someone who, like, sure, he's working well with these people. He likes them. He was in love with Isabel and Laurent. He misses Laurent and all this stuff. But he has been with, the core group. He's been with them for years. And so he's established that family. So going home is going to be completely different than being in these foreign countries and just barely knowing these people. I that's my take on all that. That, I know he's questioning, well, what will I do? Maybe I'll do this, but I don't think he will, because he'll be back with his family, and he'll be back with those people that he has created a family with, because he doesn't have a biological family anymore. And so I thought it was really interesting where his brain took him, but I just felt like, nope, Darrell won't do that, because he'll be back with his real family and he'll just be fine.
I also think that, well, I think he's also talking about, because he left, right? He's like, I was home and then I left. He didn't leave on his own accord, but he makes it sound like that, right? Like he took off, and that's the whole reason he got on the boat and it came over. But I also think Darrell having these experiences with these dreams and understanding himself more, and being in love, and having Laurent and having Carol back with him, which is his home. You learn through that. And the fact that he knows it now, then that gives him more opportunity to, act on what he knows now. Because maybe before, when he was always leaving, is because he didn't know, it was just something in him that told him he had to get up and go. But now he knows it. Now he sees it. Now he's come to a realization. So I think that will also change him, because he's conscious of it. He understands how he is. So I think that will be helpful. What about Carol? What did you think about Carol?
Yeah, I just, keep like, what's going to happen with Carol? And I can't think of his name. Why?
Antonio. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I love their friendship, their relationship, whatever it is. I really love that. And I love it for her. And, I love that she had to go back for him. She wasn't going to let, she, went back. Of course she did, because that's what Carol, she saves everybody.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see where all of this goes as they travel on wherever else, where they're going next. But no, it's, Carol is one of the she's just that character who is going to do the hard things. She makes the hard decisions. She does the hard jobs, when no one else will do them. And she's fearless, she's like, she, like, Darrell was ready to leave these people. And she's like, we are not leaving that, she's like, we have to fix it. We can, you and I can do this. She knows their capabilities. And she is like, we can help these people. And so, you got to love that about her, because she doesn't even barely know any of these people. So I feel like she's in a very different headspace since she had her hallucinations in the tunnel and things.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we have she's still Carol, but at the same time, she's lighter. She's got some hope, I think, and doesn't feel so, I guess she finally has something positive instead of all this negative all the time. She just always loses people, and whatever happens with Antonio, she's got this just a positive relationship. And luckily it had a happy ending, or happy whatever. It's not really necessarily ending, but the season, I guess, ended happily for her in that respect anyway.
Yeah, it did. And I loved seeing Carol and all the layers that that are her, because she had to be different people to different people. She had to be one way with Roberto, telling him, look, your father, when he was mad at his dad, she's like, he's your dad. He's there for you, because Roberto was treating him just like a regular dad. Like they're not living in an apocalypse. He was so mad, ready to take off because he, lied to me about my mom. But I'm thinking, this is your father who loves you, would do anything for you. What are you talking about? You're being kind of a child at the moment right now. You have the right to be mad.
Yeah.
But not like I'm taking off and I'm never seeing him again. I mean, come on, this is an apocalyptic world. You can't just do that. And so Carol had to tell him, look, your father is there for you. Recognize that. And then just the different, how she was with Valentina and how she was with Antonio, how she was with Darrell, kind of being there for him and telling him, look, you're not going to be, you're going to go home and it's probably going to be different, know that. And so I just think Carol's doing her multitasking of being all these different people, or all these different parts that people need. And that's who she is. And also, being brave and fighting those walkers with her hands and going back for the man that she loves and just standing up for people. I did want to bring up, we brought it up in the finale, but I want to bring it up to you. And you probably felt the same way, but with Justina coming back and standing up to Fede.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment when she walks through the walkers and they could have easily gotten her. And she's like, I'm going to rely that my uncles and these people are going to protect me here. And he did. That was the one thing out of all the horrible things that Fede did. Mm-hmm. That was the one thing, which makes him complicated, right?
Yeah.
Because he does all these bad things to Roberto and everybody else. But he still cares, I guess, for Justina because he's shooting those walkers so they don't get to her. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a good moment. And also Elena and what's her name? Oh my gosh, went out of my brain. Paz and Elena, that whole thing was so cool. Just both of them, Elena being the one, Paz going to save Elena, and then Elena being the one to save Paz from Guillermo, and then finding out she had a child and finding out that they get to be together and that they get to go off on their own. That was such a happy ending for those two. Mm-hmm. And just all the other women that were involved in this, how these women saved other women. I just thought that was something that I feel is that the Walking Dead universe does well. They spotlight women as heroes, as helping one another. And I love it. It is one of the highlights of The Walking Dead, watching how the women are and who they are. So, okay. And then, of course, the ending, they get to eat their hot dogs, but then the boat burns. Yeah. Damn it. That was such a I was so deflated when that happened. I'm like, and I knew they weren't going to be able to leave, but the fact that it was a boat burning, I'm like, oh my God, that's crushing. It was crushing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else that you want to say about Daryl Dixon? Anything you hope to see?
I can't wait. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't even know what to expect next, because this whole season was completely unexpected and wonderfully unexpected. I mean, it was outstanding, but I don't know what to even expect the next season, but I'm excited for it for sure.
Me too. And hopefully that we'll see Cadrone more. 2, that somehow Jeffrey Grimes somehow will even be something. I don't know what yet, but something, a spark of something that would be amazing. And then I, again, would love at the very end if somehow we get the impression or the feeling that Darrell and Rick know that each other is alive and they both get to see each other somehow. That's my goal. All right. We are going to do a rapid fire Walking Dead universe edition. Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions, Renee. You're going to give your gut answer. And this can be on The Walking Dead or the spinoffs, even though I have a feeling it might be mostly The Walking Dead. All right. This is hard. I'm prefacing this. This is hard. And everyone out there, play along. We would love to know your answers. Okay. What is the saddest or most tragic moment?
it'll always be Sophia. And then just Sophia walking out of the barn and then having to see Carol's reaction to that. As a mother, you kind of feel for her. But I just feel like that was it. I guess because they looked for her for so long, and I like knew in my heart she was probably dead, but I thought we would just never know. Just let it just go. And it was just such a shock. And it was, one of the first. I guess they lost, some of the other ones, but like Sophia seemed more into the story. You know what I mean? Like, so one of the first, like, not really major character, but whatever you want to call it, secondary character or something. But so that's just always going to be that really tragic one for me. I mean, there's so many across the whole, 11 seasons, but that one to me is a top.
So much went through my mind when you said that. But I think for me, because that's such a good one that I didn't even think about. It's so good. I'm going to say Carl.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a couple episodes before I felt I knew we were going that direction, and I think we probably knew. Now I can't even remember, but just the idea of it, the way that it happened, to see Rick and Michonne's reaction, I was bawling with them because I can't imagine as a parent seeing your child die, and the fact that Carl had been there since episode 1 and being a kid, it just really affected me. I was very, very, very sad. I know some people are not the biggest fans of Carl. Don't know why. Carl's a kid. He does things that aren't always right, but I feel like he finds his way back. He's not just a bad kid. He just does things that might irk you. But again, he is a young person, and sometimes they don't always make the right decisions, or they get mad at their parents, or they do whatever. But so that to me was one of the saddest and most tragic moments. Okay. What was the most shocking moment?
How long is the podcast? No. I probably, for me, would be Negan taking 2 victims. Because we all knew someone, probably Glenn, was going to die. But when when he chose Abe first, you think, oh, okay, we're done. And then we weren't done. I think that's got to be one of my top most shocking things.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. But I'm going to pick another one since you picked that one. And I'm going to say what the governor did to Herschel. I was shocked. I'm like, what? You knew something was going to happen? I had no idea that he was going to do that. I was completely shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked. Like, I think at least with Glenn, even though we didn't know about Abraham, or we thought we knew it was going to be somebody, we knew something was coming. We just didn't know what. But I think with Herschel, I was completely like, what the heck is happening? I was so shocked. Okay, what's the most hated moment or decision, character or storyline?
Jesus' death. I loved it, but I hated it. I loved it because it was the first time in a long time that The Walking Dead that we actually were shocked at a death, a pretty major character, because it was always, oh, so-and-so's leaving and so-and-so, well, this is okay. Yeah. There's no, this was shocking. The scene was incredible, the way they did it, but I hated losing him because I had, at that point, had really been like, he was one of my favorites. And so I hated that fact that he'd not be involved in the series anymore. But on the other hand, it was amazing how they did it. But I really hated that. Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to name The Walking Dead and a spinoff. So the most hated moment or decision. So I, of course, hated when Glenn and Abraham died, and the way that they died, the way that they showed it. So many people left watching The Walking Dead. It was like, that's it. I'm out of here. Everybody knows that that's what happened. And so they lost so many people with that. It was, even though it was in the comic, it still hurt people or how it was handled. And I just am sad because Glenn was my favorite character. And I'm like, what are you doing? Especially this way, and to see him. And It was just horrific. And then Abraham too. It was a really hard moment. But the other moment would be Fear the Walking Dead. I did not like that last season, that storyline with Madison being on that stupid mask that she always had, trying to carry it around her and find it. And the way she was, like, all of a sudden now she wants to take children and take them to the villains. I'm like, what? No, bad decision. Did not like it at all. So that was a decision that I did not like. Okay. What is the most memorable walker?
Oh, so that is, let's see, it's season 2, 18 miles out, when Shane and Rick are taking Randall to, remember they had Randall and they were trying to decide what to do with him, and Rick wanted to take him 18 miles away and all that. There's that lone walker in the field. And I found out I'm not the only person. Years ago, I think I wrote something about it. And I don't know what it is with that guy out there just walking along, just by himself in the field. And, we just see him the couple times. And I was trying to remember, there's a song that plays the second time they.
Yes.
And
yes.
it was very symbolic of Shane and what he was going through and everything like that. So that dumb walker in the field, the lone walker, I believe it was called. And I just love that one.
Civilian, White Oak.
Oh, is that the song? Okay.
Yeah, that's the song. Yeah, it was such a good song.
And Shane just looking out the window, him and they kept arguing. He sees him just walking by himself. And then when they leave, I think he sees him again because the song.
Yes.
And so then the song fits with his mind and how he's kind of detaching from the group and all those things. But just all of that. I want to know, I want that backstory. That's the Tales of the Walking Dead episode I want. What happened to that guy?
I know.
So that one
I love
that.
And I think it's the mood. It was what is happening. Yes. It's the song. All of that ties together, and it has you have this backstory of what really happened there. Mm-hmm. So my mind automatically went to the well walker. When they pulled it out, and they made Glenn go down there. Glenn, go down. And then later on, he gets a scolding from Maggie, like, why are they always putting you down there? Do you see that you're just disposable practically? But anyway,
walker bait.
And when
that's what she thought.
Walker bait. Yes, yeah. But when they're pulling it out, and then it's so bloated. I don't know. I kind of like that walker. It's just so like, oh my God, it's a crazy looking walker, but I like it. And there's so many great walkers, so many great walkers and moments. All right. What is the most badass moment or your best hero moment?
Oh man, there's so many. Anytime Carol saves everybody, for sure. Because those are always iconic, Terminus and every other time. Dang. Oh, when Darrell levels all those saviors with that rocket launcher, that was pretty cool.
Yes. That is pretty cool.
I'll give him Carol gets the first, anytime she does her stuff. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool moment.
So I have two, I guess, and one of them is Carol. When she blows up Terminus, it's like, could she be any more badass? Because you were not expecting it. And here she comes to save the day right before all her friends' necks are cut and their blood is spilled out of them. She's going to save them. And I love that moment. And I love Carol. The other moment, of course, is Rick being Rambo. And when he meets up with the, what's that group called again? I know their name. I just can't think of it right now.
The Claimers.
The Claimers, yeah. And he rips or bites Joe's neck, bites him like with his, so Rick. Oh my God. That is one of my favorite badass moments. So
that was good.
Love Rick in that. There is a moment, okay, I'm going to pause for a second. There is a moment that I wanted to bring up earlier when we talked about the most tragic moments. I did want to bring, because when you brought up Carol, it reminded me, but the Grove and everything that happened with Lizzie and her sister. And that could have been also right there one of the most tragic moments, one of the most shocking moments, what she did to her sister, and then what in turn Carol has to do is heartbreaking. It is like so devastating. So sorry, I had to bring that up and give her credit for that.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. And if they didn't come on the scene when they did, Judith would have been her next victim. So
I know.
It's all around just,
Yeah. Oh, so many characters I love. Thinking of Tyrese right now. Okay. What is your favorite season of The Walking Dead?
If I have to pick one, I'll say season 1, but the first 3 are my favorites. But if I have to narrow it down to one, I'm going to say season 1 just because it's so good.
Yeah, it is very good. For me, it's season 4. It has the most favorite of my standalone episodes, like my utmost favorite episode. The one, and I'm being bad here because I don't have all the titles in front of me, but where I talked about what the governor does to Herschel. That is one of my favorite episodes, not because that happens, but because of everything that happens before and everything that happens after. That's one of the best action scenes, sequences, devastation, shock. I just love that. But I also love the one with Herschel in the prison helping everybody when everybody's not there and he has to deal with everybody turning into walkers because of the virus. Love that episode. And then The Grove is also in that season. And I think as they're heading to Terminus also is in that season. So there are just so many episodes that I love in the prison. And so I love season 4. All right. What song or music moment hit the hardest?
It was Arsonist's Lullaby by Hosier. It's in season 6. Yeah, season 6. And I think they had like a slower version. I'm trying to remember if it was the trailer had the slower version and the episode had I can't remember which way it was, but the slower version was really cool. But that was really just fitting for everything. It was so cool. But then in the spinoff, one of my favorites, I guess I don't know if it was just, I love the way they did it. It was the opening of Dead City season 2, and it was Ace Frehley's New York Groove. And I was this is freaking genius to use this song. And then they're picking all those walkers up and throwing them in the garbage trucks and all. It was just so cool. And then, because that was like his solo album, I think it was like in the 78, 79, somewhere in there. That was because all of them did release their solo albums that year. All of the Kiss members did. But his was the most, I don't know if the other ones did very well, but his was the best one. And that song was like his top song, most popular song or whatever on the album. But I just thought it was genius how they did that. It was so cool.
Yeah, that is so cool. So we talked about one of the great songs when you had mentioned earlier with Shane, and it's Civilian by Y Oak. I also, when I was talking about Herschel being in the prison, part of it was the music, and that is Oats in the Water by Ben Howard. There's just something about the strumming of that song and the way it's sung with music really transcends, and it really puts it adds so much to what you're watching. And so much of the music, I noticed moments really hit because of the music, just like you had said, because of that walker that we heard that music. But also Lee DeWyze playing Blackbird's song. He created that song because he loved The Walking Dead. He was an American Idol winner, and he wrote it during an opening scene with Bob in it. And it's such a good song. I will have the links to these songs in the show notes because I think that they're really important. But the music means so much. I love music in here and in anywhere. So, all right. Who is your favorite guest or side character in the Walking Dead universe? I know this is a hard one. So
yeah, there's been so many good ones, but the one that just like popped right in my head was Hillary Burton Morgan as Lucille.
Yeah.
Just to see them, the two of them together on screen, and I think Here's Negan is one of the best. That just episode was phenomenal. And it's, one of the top one, like has to be top 10, at least top 10 of the series. And so to have them do this, and give us this backstory together, I just thought it was really good. So yeah, I'll say her.
It's so hard. I don't even know how to get, because a lot of mine are people that were in it for a while. It's hard for me to do just a guest one, me thinking off the cuff. I mean, but someone who had a lesser role in this would be Sasha, who played Sasha.
Sonequa Martin Green.
Yes, Sonequa Martin Green. Yes, as Sasha. She was so powerful and her death was poetic. And I just liked her. I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
Something about her. I mentioned Tyrese just a little bit ago. I liked him. I liked them as siblings. They were just good, solid characters. Didn't have like the main limelight of anything, but did they support everything that we saw? Absolutely. And so, yeah. And there's so many more. Like, I know, like, once we press stop, I'm like, oh, yeah, all these characters. Why did I mention them? So, yeah, just so many good people here. So, friends out there, there's so much that we covered and so much that we didn't cover on The Walking Dead. But if you have answers to any of these rapid fires, we would love to know it. You can leave it in a comment wherever you're listening or watching us here on YouTube or anywhere else. And if you need to know how to get a hold of us, go into our show notes and it'll take you to screensofocus.com. You can get to all of our social media there and you can leave us a message there. You can email us or you can call us at 669-223-8542 because together we love The Walking Dead and we love hearing what you have to say. All right. That closes our Walking Dead segment and we are going to head into our TV and movie recommendations. So, Renee, what do you have for us?
Too many. I'm watching too many things right now. Some I finished, some not. Yeah. I want to mention Death by Lightning on Netflix. It is just a limited 4-part series. It talks about President Garfield and the man who assassinated him, and it is so good. I didn't know much about President Garfield other than he was from Ohio because I'm originally from Ohio. So I knew that as a kid, these are the presidents from Ohio, or whatever. So yeah, but it was very well done. I really enjoyed it. So I recommend that one.
I wanted to say, I want to watch that. It's like every time I turn it on, I'm like, I got to watch it, but I'm trying to watch everything else that I need to finish. And I'm like, but I want to go back and watch it. So I'm so glad that you shared that it's only 4 episodes because that makes it better to watch it, right? Because you don't have to keep going. Yeah. So
huge
thank
commitment.
You for that.
Yeah. So that one, it's a quick one to watch, but it's very informative. I always watch those historical ones and I'm Googling facts. So I'll pause it and Google.
Exactly.
Okay, that's accurate because I like to know those things. But anyway, so it's good. I don't even know how this came on my radar. It was from 2020, but it's The Outsider. Have you ever watched? It's based on.
I have. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Why did I not know about this till now? But it was phenomenal. I couldn't stop watching it. That one I was and it was
so good.
8 episodes. I forget it's, but they're long episodes, but man, that was incredible. And it wasn't what I expected, I'm watching and I'm like, I thought this was Stephen King. And then I was like, oh, there's the Stephen King. Then then it started going, and that all played. But yeah, that was super good. I started watching King and Conqueror because I wanted to watch it because Clemcy Posey is in it that played Isabella on Daryl Dixon. And so that's what caught my attention, I guess. It's a period drama and it goes into the Battle of Hastings, which is set in 1066. So it's just a period drama. I watched, I think, the first 2 episodes and I don't know, it's not pulling me in really, but I'll probably finish it just because I want to see what happens now.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that Billy the Kid with Tom Blythe I didn't realize they had a new season. I thought that it was all done. I thought it had been done. And I didn't realize that just in September, the 3rd and final season came out. So I watched all of that. Well, I think there maybe was one more episode that I haven't watched to finish out the series. But anyways, it's really good. Billy the Kid. I mean, it's just, a Western. It's a lot of shootouts. It's a lot, just exactly what you would expect, and things. But it's good. Yeah, it's really good. And then We are also watching Welcome to Derry. And so I think the third episode, and it's very good. I'm enjoying it. So those are the series I've been watching.
I watched the very first episode of Welcome to Derry. I have to say, I'm not an It fan out of all, as much as I like Stephen King. I don't know why. I just, I mean, it's not that it's not good. It's just, it doesn't hold me. So I watched the first episode. I thought it was creepy and really well done, but that's all that I've watched so far. So I'm not sure. I know it's good. I had a coworker tell me, "Are you watching it? It's so good." I'm like, I guess I need to go watch the rest of it. So, and Billy the Kid, I don't get MGM Plus, but it looks good. So out of all of these, the only thing I've seen is The Outsider. So, and one episode of It. So anyway, share your movie because I've watched this too. And I'm really curious to get your take on it.
So we did watch Frankenstein on Netflix, the movie that's just been puffed up and talked about. And you just like, okay, I got to see this because I've heard nothing but my news feed is full of it. I am still on the fence. I'm not sure that I don't know if everybody built it up too much. I haven't read the book. My daughter's reading it right now. And so I'll be curious to see, she's going to finish it and then watch it. So I'll be curious to see what she says because she loves the book. So I'm waiting for her opinion too. But I don't know. It was acted well. It was, I don't know, just something didn't impress me as much as it was hyped, I guess, maybe.
I can see what you're saying. I liked it. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was haunting. I thought the performances were amazing. It's melodramatic. It's has a sort of romanticism, but haunting. It is incredible visually. So I see all of that because I like really, I really actually really like Guillermo del Toro, who's the director here, who did Shape of Water and other movies. But so I know going in, he's very passionate about what he does. I thought visually, I have never seen a movie this beautiful before. The colors, when a fire happens, it's not just a fire, it's like a fire. It explodes through the windows. When a guy is thrown up against the wall, you don't just see him get thrown up against the wall. His body like reverberates. His leg is broken. The guts of his body or his leg are coming out. I mean, it is like visually like, oh my God. The colors, like I said, everybody's really dramatic. Jacob Elordi as the creature was mesmerizing. So I guess I really like it from the way that I'm talking about it. It really hit me. Now, is it for the masses? Maybe not. I could see how people wouldn't like it, or that maybe because it is very, I don't know what is, I don't even know the word. It's very something, but I don't know that word. Is it very not artistic? I wouldn't say that. I'm not sure what the word is, but it is something that maybe it's almost too melodramatic for people because it almost seems like put on or something. I don't know. I really don't know what it is. But I think for me, I kept watching. And then once it hit to the creature, it was like, it sucked me in even more, I think, when it got to the creature to see his perspective on it. So,
and I did like that, how they showed the two perspectives. I did like that.
Yeah.
But maybe I need to watch it again.
Yeah. Nah, well, I don't know. It's pretty long, but the whole thing is a lot of times I watch movies just to watch them. And sometimes I watch them because I appreciate something. And then, like I said, because I appreciate Guillermo del Toro, because I appreciate the actors in here. I love Oscar Isaac and all the other actors. And just when it pops up with these colors and this graphicness that we see, it is pretty graphic, everyone. So if you don't like graphic happenings, I mean, I don't even know how he does like some of the things that he does and how so I get impressed with that. And then I have to like it because I'm impressed with all of that. So anyway, what I'm watching, I'm going to wrap this up for you in a nutshell. Rewatching Stranger Things because I cannot wait for it to come out. I am enjoying my rewatch. I'm so excited. I went to the movies. I've watched several things. I watched Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. It is not doing well in the box office, but I'm going to tell you that as a performance, Jeremy Allen White does such a good job. But this is a quiet movie. It's not about Springsteen's hits. It's about his battle with depression and the making of one album, Nebraska, that is 2 years of his life. And it's really about his struggle. And that's what it concentrates on. And so people don't want to watch that. So they're like, I'm out of here, or this isn't good. But if you just want to know what it's like to struggle and be an artist and try to make an album and how it affects you, your relationship, it shows a lot of his backstory when he was a kid. That comes up in the flashbacks a lot. So know that. But Jeremy Allen White gave a very emotional performance in this. And it just reminds you how good, and I know you know because of The Bear, but he's really a good actor to me. The way that he portrayed this, he did a really good job. I saw Predator Badlands. I liked this, and I was shocked because I'm not the biggest Predator fan. My husband is like an expert in Predator, but I've seen all the Predators except for Predator and Alien. I didn't watch those, but I watched all the regular Predator and I watched Prey, and now I watch this one. And this one is totally different, so you got to know that. It has more heart. If you're a diehard Predator fan and want everything just like so, you're not going to love it. You're going to be mad probably, but this has heart. And if something has heart, I'm there. So I enjoyed that one. The Last Kingdom, I finally finished the whole series. Love it. Then I watched the movie, The Seven Kings. I did not like the movie as much as I liked the series. So I highly recommend the series. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. The movie, you could do without it. You don't even really need to watch it. But if you do, well, then there's another chapter in that story. And then there's Frankenstein. So there is my list. I know there's so much more, but that's it for today. All right, Renee, I am so glad that you could join me again to talk about The Walking Dead and to give your thoughts on Daryl Dixon. I'm so excited that you were here.
I know. It's been this has been a very fun episode. I am glad you thought of all this because it was a lot of fun.
It was. And we hope you thought it was a lot of fun out there too. Thank you for joining us. We would love to know any thoughts that you have, any expectations you have about The Walking Dead. And maybe do you want to see them all come together? Or maybe you're like Renee and you just want to leave it as it is. I don't know. Share that with us and follow Screens in Focus at screensinfocus.com. And remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.